Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce James Young, who will give a platform on the lessons of hope from the teaching profession. Thank you. Please welcome him.
Good morning. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm excited. I want to say thank you so much to Kelly and Ryan for those musical selections. I particularly like the lyrics to You Asked Me To, because that speaks to a lot of hope. There's a line in there, I don't know exactly what it is, but it doesn't matter what the world might say, but I'm going to keep going with this because you asked me to. And I think that it's right at the root of hope. So I'm going to just get just a second to plug in here. I also appreciate Gary's words and the call to action. Thank you for that. And just this idea that it would be so easy to just stop when you feel like you've made it for yourself. And the fact that you want to keep going and help others and do more and be bigger than yourself is awesome. Okay. Awkward pause. So now if I was in my classroom right now, what would happen? Because I'm taking a little while, everybody would start talking and somebody might get out of their seat. And thank you for not doing that. All right, now I'm hoping that my technology does what it's supposed to do. Okay. All right. I promise you I do have a PowerPoint. It's here. I'm not sure what's happening. But this is, once again, this is not unlike what I experience on a regular day as a teacher. You know, things happen. And things happen in the ways that you don't expect. Actually, that was kind of in my description. And so what do you do when that happens, right? You could give up. You could frown. You could consider doing something completely different. I promise you, in my first year of teaching, I thought about UPS. I thought about maybe waiting tables again. But I didn't. You know, I kept going, and I'm so glad that I did. Wow. Okay. So Ryan and Kelly, this is that time where, remember that music that we talked about in the background? This is, oh boy. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can get this. Okay. All right. Well, I think what I'm going to do is while this is reloading, I'll just talk a little bit from my notes, and hopefully this will come up. And it's almost as if I planned this, so we'll see what happens. So my name is James Young, and I am Missouri State Teacher of the Year for 2022. Thank you. Thank you. This is an honor and a privilege that I never would have imagined. You know, in my mind, I go to work each day, and I do the job that a teacher does. I do the job that a teacher does. I go in, and I do what I think I should and what's best for my students. And so many teachers do that. But it just so happens that somebody noticed something particularly different. And I think it's just has so much more to do with how much more can I share? How much bigger can I make this than just my success in the classroom? How can I help to touch lives outside of the classroom? And that's why I believe I'm in this position. It's not just for the title of the award or throwing out a pitch at a baseball game, but that's cool. I did get to do that. But it's actually bigger. So I've been teaching for 15 years. Most of those have been spent in the Ferguson-Florissant School District, and the last 3 have been at Johnson-Wabash 6th Grade Center in Ferguson, where my family and I live. Wow. Okay. I am a husband, a father, and a teacher. As a matter of fact, I'm a husband to a very amazing wife. Her name is Miki Lau. She's a published author, 2 children's books. She's my better half and the brains of the outfit of our family. So really, she should probably be up here speaking instead of me. Her PowerPoint probably would have worked. So I also have 7 wonderful children: Sasha, Naora, Enosh, Imuna, Simeon, Naomi, and Elsie. And they're not here with me today, but they are here in my heart, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be me. So now I just want to ask a little bit about you. How are you doing today? I like to do this with my classes. So I'm going to ask you to give me, if you want to participate, you can. If you don't want to, that's okay. I ask that you give me a fist of 5. All right, 5 meaning awesome, amazing, wonderful. 1 is like lousy. How are you feeling today? Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. 5, 5, 3. Okay, 5.5. Or 4.5, sorry, 4.5, yeah. Okay, so we're over 3s. I don't see any 1s, I don't think. Okay, good. So, that's a tough question sometimes, and it might change from minute to minute. But it's an important question, and hopefully we can base the way we feel not so much on everything that seems to pound and crash in on us, but more on the fact that we're living a purpose, or in the things that we're experiencing, we're learning some lessons. And that's kind of what I'm here to do today, just kind of give you some ideas behind some lessons that I've learned from teaching. Let's see, okay. So I want to go a little deeper. I asked, how are you? So let me ask you this question. Who are you? Raise your hand if you're a teacher. Got teachers. Yes, a lot of teachers. Great. Love teachers. Love teachers. Architect. Any architects? Architect. Good. Any dentists? Chiropractors? I know there's one. My wife's chiropractor is in the audience, Dr. Nikki, and she is amazing. She's so awesome, and we appreciate your work. Engineers? All right, awesome, awesome. Any parents? Okay, any students? All right. Any pet owners? Yeah, okay. Did I cover it? Did anybody not raise their hand yet? Oh boy. Any people that speak from the podium at the Ethical Society on Sunday? Awesome. Okay. Would you agree that almost in every industry and every connection point in life that the last 2 years have been pretty challenging, and maybe even longer than that? Would you agree that maybe at times it seemed kind of hopeless, right? Is this going to get better? Am I going to stop coughing? Are people going to stop coughing on me? Are we going to be able to get back to normal? Are we going to be able to make connections again? Am I going to be able to really give a good handshake or a hug? It's been tough. So I asked, there's one I forgot. Are there any barbers, hairstylists? I want to ask, any barbers or hairstylists in the house? No, okay, that's okay. I had a slide, and let me see, it's not working, but I can just tell you what it looked like. So the slide was of clippers and a shaver and combs and things like that. And it was orange, and it kind of matched my tie, so. But anyway, before I became a teacher, I was almost a barber. I started kind of cutting my own hair in the Army and had some other guys showing me some stuff, so I almost became a barber. One of the things that they do in a test for barber school to see if you would be a good hairstylist or a barber is they do a test where they'll see if you can complete a pattern. It's like this on this side, can you do it over here? And so taking this idea, can you either replicate or produce something that's not there? Can you see past what's not there and create something that is there? And I think that's at the heart of hope. So many times teachers have the task of shaping, lining, cultivating, where we can't always see what the clear results may be. That's our job as teachers. It can be easy to believe sometimes that things will never change, right? People will sometimes assign hopelessness to organizations, ideas, businesses, or partnerships. But sometimes hopelessness can be assigned to people. And you might hear statements like this, or somebody might think a statement like, that is as good as they'll ever get, or they won't amount to much, or that's just who they are, that's what they do, or don't even waste your time. Sometimes those statements are assigned to students. And if we're assigning those statements to students, we should really be asking ourselves some questions about teaching. Hope says the opposite. I have a definition of hope that I found on Google, because that's where you find everything, right, on Google. Or Amazon. I didn't find it on Amazon, though. It said, hope is a feeling of expectation and a desire for a certain thing to happen. Hope is a feeling, an expectation, a desire for a certain thing to happen. So in this definition, the expectation or the lack thereof is powerful. Do you hope someone succeeds or do you hope they fail? No one ever would ever say that I hope you fail, but through our actions and our words, we might produce that thought. A desire to see something happen can dictate the effort a person exudes in a given situation. If you have hope in a situation, you're going to give it all you got. If you're hopeless, you're going to give up. So sometimes hope can be realistic and at times not so much. Sometimes we might hope for things and they just don't happen and then we get discouraged. But sometimes we hope for the wrong things, I think. Or we place our hopes in the wrong places and we miss the point of where we were supposed to go in the first place. Some of the enemies of hope are worry, fear, and doubt. I really wanted to show you my pictures. I keep looking. I know I just got to leave it alone, so I'm sorry. So I had a slide, and it showed a map of, so I kind of have three ideas with hope. There's hope and encouragement, hope and vision, and hope and perseverance. If I start to talk a little more than I should, somebody from the back go like this, and you got me. Okay. All right. Okay. So I had a slide, and I had a picture of the state of Missouri in a little splotch up toward the North County area. There was a city called Kinloch. Raise your hand if you're familiar with the city of Kinloch. Okay, the city of Kinloch. The city of Kinloch was the first African-American city to be incorporated in 1938. In this city, I have a lot of roots, starting at least with my great-great-grandmother, and then my great-grandmother who I knew, and then my grandmother. They were from Kinloch. My great-grandmother helped to establish the first library in Kinloch. She was a notary public. She helped to start the first women's auxiliary fire department. She had high hopes for the city. She had high hopes for her children. She had high hopes for her great-grandchildren. She was one who said, the first one that said, James, I think you have the patience to be a teacher. This came after a day of doing some yard work for her, and I think I was really slow. So she spoke that hope into me, right? She spoke that hope into me. Because at times when I was young, I lacked some hope, I'll just say that. Going to school in the 80s, there were a couple things that just kind of made me sort of awkward. I was skinny, kind of scrawny. I'll say this, I'm mixed, so my dad is black, my mom is white, so I was sort of this vanilla kid in school, and kids are like, "What are you?" and I'm joking about it, but it was kind of, at points, it was painful for me because I didn't fit, right? And so I was teased, didn't always have the coolest shoes, my haircuts were not very good. Maybe that's why I learned how to cut my own hair. My dad did the best he could, but the bowl doesn't always work. But I had teachers like Miss Wright, my 6th grade teacher, who saw something in me and told my parents, "I see something, and I can't remember the exact words, but she made me feel, and she gave me hope, right? She believed in what I could do. My 6th grade teacher, Miss Wright. I also had my high school counselor, Dr. Carl Swearingham, who wouldn't let me off the hook. I want to say demanded, but he kind of did, that I get that college preparatory certificate. I just wanted to get through and graduate. He said, keep going, keep going. He encouraged me. He hoped for me. So hope and encouragement. So that's one of the things that I wanted to share as a big idea point, and I had a slide for this, is that your words can give life. What you see in someone, share that, because you never know what trajectory that can put their life on. Your words can give life, hope, and encouragement. So the next stage of my life that I just want to share, that I'm finding some hope in, was just this idea of finding my way, right? So I graduated high school and I went straight into the Army. I had a recruiter come by my door. "What do you want to do with your life?" "I'm not sure." "Hey, go to the Army." "All right." Not the best way to make a decision, but it worked out. I was there for 3 years. But when I got out, I still wasn't sure what to do. I knew I wanted to be a musician. My dad is a musician, and I wanted to be a rock star, right? I wanted to play around the world and get famous and get big and have awesome guitars and just kill it. And so I was in a band for a while, but something was missing. Something was empty. I was working at Mars Music, and I remember a day I was on break, and I just went outside, and I was just, what am I doing with my life? So I decided to take the GI Bill that I had and go to barber school. I'm going to be a barber. Yeah. But that wasn't the full plan, so I did some more talking to my grandmother. I had a really nice picture of her. My grandmother, I talk about her a lot. She passed in 2020 in the spring, but she was one of my greatest inspirations for being a teacher. She was a music teacher from the same district I lived in, or I work in, and she said, my second thought was to go to school for music. And she said, "Why don't you consider music education?" And at the time, no, I just want to learn music for me. I'm not really trying to teach anybody else. But that plan B quickly became the plan A. And I started to find that, hey, I could maybe teach music. But it wasn't all easy. I got to school, right, and I started taking these classes, and I really liked practicing and stuff, but like the education part, it felt like it was too much work. And I didn't know if I wanted to keep doing it, right? A lot of papers to write and stuff. But her and my great-grandmother, who were still living at the time, said, keep going, just keep it. You never know. And so I did. They had a vision for what I couldn't see. My great-grandmother said, you would be a good teacher. My grandmother believed it. She sat at the piano with me at night and helped me figure out theory. Because I was a rock musician. You know guitar players don't read music. That's bad. I'm sorry. Here's a joke. What's the easiest way to get a guitar player to shut up? There you go. You got it. I know that's hard. I'm only saying this because I'm a guitar player. I love guitar players. You guys we're awesome. So she had a vision, and so that's another thing. Sometimes hope and vision go together in that you're calling out a vision for someone else's life that they can't see. That's what teachers do. Right? They take sometimes messy situations and they keep going and they keep pushing through even when it doesn't look like it's going to turn out to be anything. So this final sort of idea or point I had was just the idea of becoming a teacher. And I would say I'm still becoming a teacher. I'm a teacher, but I want to be a better teacher for the rest of my life. No matter where I go, no matter what I do, I'm a teacher. And I always want to become better. And so, like I said, my first year was very, very hard. And I'm serious when I say there were moments and days where I didn't want to keep going. But more wisdom from my great grandmother. She said, keep going. Every day will get better. Every year will get better. And believe me, I share that with young teachers all the time now, or just teachers that are having a hard time, because it helped me. So I wanted to teach music, and I had a conversation with somebody about this the other day, but teachers know, they find out really quick, that teaching is not just about your content. I got in there, and I wanted to teach music, and I wanted to be the best band teacher ever and have the coolest band around, and quickly found out it was a lot more about classroom management, right? Classroom management and figuring out how to let Johnny get along better with Tyrone and keep Susie and Layla from fighting, hear about something that just happened. It's a lot more about keeping the peace, counseling, loving, caring, encouraging. But what about the music? It's not as big of a percentage of it than I thought, although it's still there. It's the vehicle. So there are going to be times in every point of life. You might be in a time right now where it just seems like there's just no way out, or it just keeps going in the same way and it won't stop, and it's not getting better. I would propose to you that sometimes when we feel hopeless, and as I'm saying this, I'm also saying this to myself, I would propose that sometimes when we feel hopeless, our sights are not on the right thing. Maybe you're not accomplishing exactly what you wanted to accomplish with your life. But maybe there's something else that you're doing that you don't even see. Maybe there's someone else's life that you're impacting that you don't even know. I have one final illustration that I want to share with you about this. It's a story about a student that I had in my first few years of teaching at Ferguson Middle School. I was teaching band. And this student was kind of squirrely in my class, very talkative, hard to manage often. He was a trumpet player. You know, trumpet players. I'm giving all these musician stereotypes. I'm sorry. I love all musicians. I love all people, so I just want to put that out there. And so he was kind of squirrely, but he stayed after one day, and I helped him with his trumpet. And we were sitting there and just playing, and he started sharing with me. He said, you know what, Mr. Young? And he kind of said it with half a smile. I wasn't sure how serious he was. But he said, you know what, Mr. Young, I think I'm going to run away from home. And that just froze me in my tracks. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And so he went on to explain some things that were happening at a transition or a new thing that was about to happen at home. And he didn't like it. He didn't like what was about to happen because he felt like he was going to get forgotten about. And so, wow, what do I do? So I just start talking to him, and I share some things. I didn't have kids yet, but if I was his dad, what would I say? And he was my kid, how would I approach this? And so I started talking to him and sharing some things. I don't even know exactly what I said. And then some days went by, and he still came to school. He didn't run away. He was still there. But he brings me this card. And he says, here you go, Mr. Young. This is from my mom. And so he hands me this card. And I opened the card, and this is some of what it said. It says, we really appreciate how you have taken out your time to talk to and encourage our son. You have touched his life in a positive way that you may never know. Our son shared with me how you talked him out of running away. He said out of his own mouth that he looks up to you. And that was a moment that I wasn't ready for. That was a moment, one of the moments that helped me to know that what I was doing was so much bigger than getting some rating at a contest or getting them to play B flat. It was about his life. It was about his family and his purpose and him being well. And so I learned the lesson that perseverance through those hard times, I could have said, I don't want you to stay after you get on my nerves. You're annoying. Go home. That's a bad attitude. But I didn't. I was patient, right? And I persevered, and because of it, the reward was I was able to touch his life. Wasn't prepared for that, but I had my focus wrong. My focus first, it was James Young, the band teacher, rock star, wants to do all this stuff. But no, it's James Young, the helper of hearts, right? The counselor of young minds. And so sometimes we have to adjust our title, right? So I want to close actually just with a few quotes, and then I'm going to put the mic down. I'm surprised I didn't get the yet. I'm going to close with a few quotes because I had them on here. Just a few quotes about hope that I really like. I'm going to let some other people speak. The first one is, let me see if I can get it. All right, I can get it right here. Okay, so the first hope quote is, hope, and tell me if you know who this is. We'll do some trivia. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Hope is like the sun. If you only believe when you see it, you'll never make it through the night. It's from a movie. Anybody know? If you're an 80s kid, this is one of the best movies, the greatest movies of all time. The series. It's a series. No, actually, it was Princess Leia from Star Wars. And I think this was like the 8th episode. All right, I'll read that again. Hope is, I wish I could put it up here. Hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you see it, you'll never make it through the night. I have two other quotes, but they're at the end of my presentation. Let me get to them really quick. They're worth hearing. Okay, here we go. The next one is, may your choices reflect your hopes and not your fears. Anybody know? Nelson Mandela. My final quote is, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose hope. I'm sorry, let's try that again. We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. I'll read that again. We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. Any guesses? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I really appreciate you and this opportunity to share, and I look forward to speaking to you hopefully afterwards. Thanks a lot.
All right, let's give him a second round of applause as I get situated here. Thank you, Mr. Young. This community supports educators, and we're proud to support